Reaching out to rural Ohioans as election season really gets rolling. Ahead on Face the State, building country roads, the Ohio Democratic Rural Caucus reaching out to rural and small town Ohioans across the state to talk about the issues important to them. I'm joined in studio by the man leading the effort and lending an ear. What's behind the listening tour? Also, one-on-one with Lieutenant Governor Jim Tressel, his surprise at being chosen for the post by Governor DeWine, and why he decided not to run for governor himself in 2026. Plus,
oh my gosh, what an amazing response from our community.
A community comes together to create its own Christmas miracle, turning a toy drive disaster into a monumental success. Face the State starts now. Thanks for joining us for Face the State. I'm Doug Petcash. Throughout the fall, the Ohio Democratic Rural Caucus has been crisscrossing the state, meeting rural and small town Ohioans where they live. The goal, to connect with rural Ohioans to identify, discuss, and address the issues that are important to them. The caucus says it's to make sure they are seen and heard. The caucus has held 9 sessions in all, the final one just yesterday. They call the initiative Building Country Roads, a listening tour for rural Ohio. Leading the effort is Ohio Democratic Rural Caucus Chair Chris Gibbs. He's a Shelby County farmer and former leader of the Shelby County Republicans. Chris Gibbs joins me now to discuss building country roads. Chris, thanks for being here.
Great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Well, you're welcome. First of all, I guess you've put some miles on your car the last couple of months.
Thousands of miles. We've done all nine sessions now. Wrapped those up just yesterday, and I got to tell you, I think I started off on this truck with 47,000 miles, and there's about 50,000 on it now. So we've crisscrossed the state.
You're building it up. So why is this listening tour necessary?
Well, it's necessary. You know, as a representative of the Ohio Democratic Party Rural Caucus, you know, we've heard, voters have heard, the party has heard that maybe rural Ohio was being disregarded. You know, that's right or wrong. You can make that decision. Maybe disregarded or rural Ohio has been taken for granted, okay, if you will, by the Democratic Party. I'm out to make sure, our rural caucus is out to make sure that folks in rural Ohio are heard and they're also seen. And so that's what we're doing. We started this, we wanted to build country roads just like you set up in the piece. We wanted to build country roads for candidates to run on.
And so the people in the rural areas tend to be traditionally a little more conservative, not a blanket statement, of course. Are you hearing from them that the Democratic Party has forgotten them?
A little bit, but I want to tell you how we set these up. We start off these listening sessions, and the first thing we do is the Pledge of Allegiance. Because, you know, if there's any discourse, if there's any vitriol or anything like that, I want to make sure that that's tamped down right away. And the first thing we do, we start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I ask them the first question in the facilitation. I say, tell me what you're proud of your America, your state, or your community. That gets everybody on the same page. So fascinating answers, because everybody's proud of their family, they're proud of their community, they're proud of service, all of those things we find in this tour. So we're trying to bring people together no matter what their political philosophy is.
Speaking of that, though, how important is party to the people in rural Ohio and small town Ohio?
Well, you know, people tend to, the Republicans tend to follow that party, the Democrats tend to follow their party. But again, the listening tour for us is nonpartisan as we can be. Because what we want to do is to hear people. And again, they've been screaming out that they want to be heard. What we find out in this tour is that people want to be heard, they want to be listened to, and they want people to show up. So I'm showing up. We've shown up to 9 different sessions to listen to people, to really understand what was important to them.
So what are you hearing about what's important to them? What are the issues?
Well, I'll tell you, I ask a number of different questions. The first thing I ask after we get the intro done is, what's the expectation out of your political leaders? What's the expectation out of your governance? What's the expectation out of your institutions? And we hear over and over, kind of the top lines here. We've got data to get through, but the top lines are that people want to be heard. They expect honesty out of their political leaders. They expect integrity out of their political leaders. They expect justice out of their institutions and their government. So that's been kind of, I'll use a big word, kind of ubiquitous across all of the answers, but at that 35,000 foot level.
And so are the big issues things like affordability, immigration, inflation? What are you hearing along those terms?
No. Those are policy issues.
Okay.
Those are necessarily policy issues, and that's not what I'm working on here. I want to know, at the end of the day, how elected officials, how candidates can communicate directly with rural Ohioans, okay? And it's interesting, because what I know is this, is that in rural Ohio, there are two different languages that a candidate or a political leader needs to understand. They don't have to necessarily speak them. And one is small towns, villages, mayors, Friday night football, public schools, water systems, council meetings, and maybe even a part-time law enforcement that's working just on a Friday night. Okay, that's small town villages and towns and so forth. The other language is agriculture. And so many times our candidates, they roll into an area and they have an idea of what rural Ohio or even rural America is, and they miss the bigger picture that there's two different languages. One is, like I said, those small towns and mayors. The other is agriculture. Farming is a completely different language. Folks that are in the farming community, they're interested in policy solutions that are different than what a small town mayor is interested in. So a candidate needs to understand both of those.
And you've said that you speak, as I mentioned, you're a former Shelby County Republican Party leader. First of all, why the switch? Why going with the Democratic caucus?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I was involved for 20 years in Republican Party administration in Shelby County. That's the Sidney area. Born and raised in Shelby County. I'm a farmer there. And I was chair of the party between 2007 and 2015. And about 2015, I realized that I was kind of out of step, becoming out of step with the party, because the party was going hard on immigration and so forth. Clear back in 15, just because of how the Tea Party developed into what we now know, what I would call the MAGA movement. So in 15, I stepped down as chair. I was still on Central Committee, but I stepped down as chair because I was interested in comprehensive immigration reform at the time. I was working with an organization that was promoting comprehensive immigration reform, which fast forward to today is certainly a big topic. The other thing I was interested in is moderation in our political leaders. My congressman forever, state senator, state rep, et cetera, has been Jim Jordan. So I understand that I'm looking for moderation and representation. So if you fast forward to after the election of 2016, what happened is that two things happened right in 17 and 18. First, the president stood up with Putin in Helsinki early in or mid 2018, and threw what I thought all of our intelligence services overboard. That was number one. I said, I'm done with this. And the second thing was trade. Is that the administration, Trump, put on punitive tariffs on all of our traditional trading partners, which adversely affected my business. I lost 20% of my income just overnight as a farmer, just because of that. And I spoke out against that. I said, hey, we got to knock this off. And that was pretty much the end of my career.
Okay.
in the Republican Party. So I hung out for 3 years as an independent before moving to the Democratic Party. I'm glad I'm here.
You talk about the different languages in small town and rural Ohio, but you also say that you speak legacy Republican rather than MAGA Republican. What do you mean?
Well, I mean that by this, and I tell people why am I believe I'm the person to be able to communicate and get the information we need from rural Ohioans, and that's because I say it in joking almost that I speak 3 languages. One, I speak small town mayors. I speak agriculture for sure, and I also speak legacy Republican. And I'm hoping that gives me some credibility as we move through this listening tour, as we finish this up.
So what are you going to do with the information and the feedback that you get from all these people you've been meeting with all over the state?
Yeah, this is kind of a fascinating process because what we've done is we've mic'd each of these, carried a microphone around to each of these sessions. Even if we have 20 people in a room, whatever we have, whatever the size of the room it is, we always have a microphone so that we can hear all the responses. And those responses are transmitted into a transcription system, and those transcripts then will be run through an AI process to find out what the top lines are, to find out what's really, really, really important out of all of the probably 18 hours of sessions here. So we're going to run that through that AI process. We're going to take that information, I'm going to make it available to our party, make it available to our candidates, and it'll be available.
Are there, we just have a minute left. Are there the big topics that have come up? Like you talk about, knowing that they want to be heard, but have you heard the big issues?
Yeah, big issues, and again, 35,000-foot view top line, is that at the end of the day, people are interested in community, they're interested in family, they're interested in service, and they want to see integrity out of their political candidates. And the other thing is this, they want to touch their candidates. They want to meet them one-on-one.
Face-to-face. Yeah.
One of the things that's going to come out of this, I think, if I write a book about it, is ice cream socials. And that's a metaphor for what we've learned, for what we've heard, is that people need more person-to-person interaction. They're tired of the stuff that comes in the mail. They're tired of the vitriol that they see on Facebook and so forth. They want to see their political leaders, see their candidates, touch them and hear them, and these people want to be heard.
Well, thank you for coming here from Shelby County to have this personal interaction. I appreciate you making the trip in, Chris. Thank you so much.
More than welcome.
Well, still ahead on Face the State, a new face in the race for Ohio governor. Casey Putsch decided to run for office even though he has no political experience. Why the Republican says change needs to come. Well, he won't be facing Lieutenant Governor Jim Tressel in the May primary. The former Buckeye coach explains the key factors that kept him from going after the Buckeye State's top office. Next. Welcome back to Face the State. I'm Doug Petcash. A new candidate has jumped into the race for Ohio governor. Casey Putsch from Northwest Ohio announced he is running as a Republican. He says he has no political experience but doesn't like what he sees in his opponents and wants to lead the change. Putsch says he grew up in Tiffin and now lives in Perrysburg with his wife and young daughter. He says he's campaigning against tax breaks for data centers and he is for regulating AI. His other priorities include energy policy and environmental stewardship. While he is a Republican and supports President Donald Trump, he says he's deeply concerned about what he's seeing with the Republican Party and wants change.
And the absolute truth of this is insanely risky. We live in a divisive, toxic, volatile time. So we're risking a lot. But how do you not stand up to protect your home and everybody that lives in it? Because we're all a big family here.
In 2013, Putsch founded Genius Garage. It's a nonprofit educational program that helps students build race cars and airplanes while preparing them for careers in engineering and design. Putsch will be up against Republican biotech entrepreneur and former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. Ramaswamy has been endorsed by President Trump and the Ohio Republican Party. In response to Putsch's announcement, Ramaswamy's team says they respect everyone's right to run, but it will not distract them from their own. Also in the Republican race is businesswoman and former Morgan County School Board President Heather Hill. Right now, the only Democrat in the race is former Ohio Department of Health Director Dr. Amy Acton. In September, Lieutenant Governor and former Ohio State head football coach Jim Tressel announced he would not run for governor in 2026. This week, 10 TV's Jeff Hogan sat down with the Lieutenant Governor for a wide-ranging interview about his first year in office. Part of the conversation focused on his decision not to run, but also his surprise that Governor Mike DeWine chose him for the role of Lieutenant Governor in the first place.
I was surprised, and I think many people were surprised, simply because it wasn't a typical someone who had grown up in the world, but it's been a lot of fun.
Did you think when Governor DeWine named you that he thought the natural progression was, well, he's going to come in after me, he's going to run and do this?
I don't know that. I think he, early on, he and I talked that I said, look, I'll be happy to do this and I'll work like crazy. And I said, but I should probably let people know that I'm not looking for a career in this. And he did say, well, no, you don't want to do that. What if you fall in love with it? What if you decide you want to? He said, there'll be time for that. We'll have discussions along the way. So I don't think that he thought I would or I wouldn't. I think he was hoping I would enjoy this and do a good job for him and so forth, but I don't think he had any pre-thought game plan, if you will, that I would try to follow him.
I want to make sure nothing's changed. You're still not running.
Still not running.
So does that mean you didn't like it?
Oh, no, that's not true. That's not true. What I think I realized was I had that year and a half after 48 years in higher education where I was a little more available for my family and for my former players and my former coaches and for causes that I feel deeply about, and I could go and help. And I didn't really realize how much I really enjoyed that chapter, and that when you have those guys that play for you and they're out there now having careers of their own, and maybe you can help in some way, or same with your former coaches. So no, it wasn't that I haven't enjoyed this. I have. I think maybe I realized how much that chapter I just finished, I think I'd like to do that. And, I think too, the family part of it, being more available for family and kids and grandkids and so forth. Although Governor DeWine does an amazing job. He's got like 28 grandchildren and 8 kids, and he does an amazing job. But just thought it was the best thing.
Tressel was appointed lieutenant governor after Governor DeWine appointed John Husted to fill now Vice President J.D. Vance's seat in the U.S. Senate. Tressel told Jeff Hogan that he has traveled the state listening and learning, striving for efficiency and effectiveness on workforce development. He has also visited dozens of schools across the state for the Team Tressel Fitness Challenge. The goal is to help students form healthy habits in fitness, sleep, and nutrition. The governor created the challenge as part of his efforts to make Ohioans healthier. You can watch Jeff's full interview with Lieutenant Governor Tressel on 10 TV+. A big update now from the state this week on efforts to shape the way young readers learn. A state audit found 10 universities and colleges in the state are not in compliance with requirements on teaching the science of reading. Those universities include Ohio State University and Ohio University. Governor Mike DeWine announced the audit findings Tuesday morning. Early literacy is a major priority of his. He says overall, universities are doing a good job of teaching our future teachers to use the science of reading method, but some can do better.
We know that the better a child can read, the more likely it is that they will succeed.
And Governor DeWine believes the science of reading is the best way to teach young children to read. It uses phonics to build vocabulary by having students sound out words.
We're making great strides in our K through 12 schools. We're not done.
A law passed in 2023 requires teaching colleges and universities to align with the science of reading alone for instructing future teachers. The governor pointed out the results of the state audit, showing 33 schools in full alignment, 5 in partial alignment, and 10 not in alignment.
All 10 of these colleges were found to have at least one instance of using the band training in their material.
Ohio State University is 100% compliant on a long list of metrics for the science of reading, but did have several instances of using banned or outdated materials. An OSU spokesperson says the university is updating the material to fully comply, adding, Ohio State is committed to enhancing excellence in preparing the next generation of Ohio's teachers, with the science of reading serving as a cornerstone of our research and instructional practices. Ohio Education Association President Jeff Wensing says implementing implementing the science of reading in Ohio's public schools is going fairly well. While he believes teachers are the best judge of what works for their students, he says the OEA appreciates the governor's focus on making sure kids become good readers.
We believe that a focus on literacy will produce successful adults, lifelong learners, terrific readers.
Now the clock is ticking for the universities to fully comply.
If you can't read or can't read well and struggle, it's very unfair. Each student has that right. And we have to look at this as a moral imperative, and we have to look at this as a right, and that's why we cannot deviate from this.
And that's why the governor says he's going to continue to drive this for the last 13 months he's in office. The colleges and universities not in full alignment will now have a year to prove they eliminated the banned or outdated training, or the state will revoke approval of those teaching programs. In a statement to 10 TV, an Ohio University spokesperson said the university is proud to have met 100% of the science of reading metrics in the audit. He said the university was also made aware a chapter within a textbook was identified as containing prohibited content under state law. The statement goes on to say this textbook is no longer being utilized within any of the university's educator preparation programs course offerings in order to ensure Ohio Department of Higher Education compliance. We will continue to strive to ensure Ohio University's educator preparation program serves as a state model for reading and literacy instruction. Next on Face the State, a mountain of support. It grew in a matter of days after a disaster nearly swept away Christmas for hundreds of kids. The spirit of giving, alive and well and on full display in a time of need. We leave you today with a heartwarming story about the spirit of giving that you might say is a Christmas miracle. Donations poured in after a sewage leak at a Norwich Township fire station damaged almost all the toys firefighters collected for kids in need. A mountain of support grew in just a few days for their annual toy drive.
Big Christmas miracle. I did not think, couldn't even imagine that we would come together and have this amount. And we've doubled, probably tripled of what we normally get.
And it all happened in only 3 days. Donations flowed in to replace what the sewage flood took away. Community compassion packed in boxes and black and white trash bags built this mountain of gifts.
What do you think about all this?
Oh my gosh, what an amazing response from our community. People really came together. When there's an emergency, Hilliard really makes things happen.
Hilliard Food Pantry Plus Executive Director Aaron West says it's the most toys they've ever received through the toy drive.
And I've been worried because we have more people signing up this year. And so I am no longer worried.
Last week, Norwich Township Fire Department had to throw away thousands of donated toys after the sewage leak flooded Station 83. Monday morning, firefighters and volunteers unloaded a school bus, 2 moving trucks, and a medic vehicle full of toys, enough for about 1,200 kids. Food pantry volunteers immediately started chipping away at the mountain.
Taking things out of the boxes, and we're seeing what the recommended age group is for it.
Sorting it so parents or guardians can come later this week to pick out the perfect present for their child.
Just imagine on Christmas Day, they'll have something to open up and something to enjoy.
The community response turning worry into relief.
I feel at peace knowing that there's not going to be a child without a toy in our community. It's amazing.
All of those toys were distributed to families on Friday and Saturday. Just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to all of you who celebrate. And thank you for joining me this week for Face the State. I'm Doug Petcash. I'll see you next Sunday at 11:30.